Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a webinar using GetResponse. So the first thing that you need to do to start creating a webinar is come up to these 6 dots here up here on your top left and then click it, and the fourth option is a webinar. So once you click it, it brings you to this page, and then from there you create. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining my YouTube channel. My name is Ruth Mauro, and in today's video I'm going to be teaching you about creating webinars using GetResponse. So the first thing that you do to create a webinar is come up to the top left corner of GetResponse, your GetResponse account, and on this 6 dots here you click on them, and the fourth option is webinars. So once you click it, it brings you to this page where you have 3 options: live webinars, on demand webinars. Currently I am using the Plus account, and so I don't have the option for on-demand webinars. And then this is where the recordings, if for example you create a webinar and you want to keep the recordings, this is where you're going to have your recordings stored. But for today we are going to create a live webinar. So from here you come to the create webinar button, click it, and then it's going to bring you to this page, and then now you can start creating your webinar. The first thing is you enter a webinar title, and our title is going to be free GetResponse tutorial webinar. And then this title is good because it's going to catch the attention of all the people that are interested in GetResponse. They are definitely going to sign up, or anybody who is looking for an email marketing solution, they definitely are going to be interested in knowing more about GetResponse, maybe before they buy, or they already have it and they just want to know more about the GetResponse. So for me, what I did is I had to have a draft so that I can have easy time creating my webinar, knowing exactly where to put what and where not to put. So after you've done your title, you come to the basic settings, and this is where you put the details for your webinar. So you had the details. As you can see, the URL is already here. It has been generated for the webinar, so I'm just going to leave it at that, and then I'll change the date from today to probably tomorrow is Friday, when I'm to Friday, and then I'll change it to 1 p.m. or definitely 3 p.m. and then that's it. And then I'll put the duration to from 2 hours to 1 hour, and then after that there's an option of either whether you want to record your webinar or not. But for this section I'll say automatically record my webinar on start. Remember when I said I'm using the Plus plan, so that means I don't have access to on-demand webinar. So for that I'm not going to check the automatically create an on-demand webinar. Then on this section here is where you write the agenda of the webinar, and I'm just going to say learn more about GetResponse features and solutions. And then from there I'll leave it at that. Keep it simple so that they know exactly what they are looking for, because they'll get what they see on this agenda list. So from there I'll say on this, after I've done the agenda, now the next step is to have a thank you page to thank them once they've finished watching my webinar, my live webinar. So for that I'm going to have a default page for GetResponse. It's just the easiest way to go about it. Or for example, if you already have a landing page that you had created, then you can put the thank you page for the landing page here. So that's what they get after they've exited the webinar, as a way to say thank you. But for me, I'm going to leave it at default. So I leave it at default get response page. So now that I'm satisfied with the basic setting, all the details are in and I'm satisfied, the next step is to save this step. And as you can see, everything has been done. So after that, now we go to the registration and subscription setting. So this is where we decide if you want if you just want them to click and not register, so it takes them right away to the webinar. But for me, I would love them to give me their email address and their name. That way I can keep track and maybe send them more information about GetResponse. So for that, let's go to editing. So once we come to the editing, this is the email address. So on the first step is where you put your email address. So for me, I would recommend maybe having a business address, a domain name, or you can put your just normal email address. But I would recommend having a professional email address that looks quite professional, and that means it can be .com, .something. So on this step, this is the address that the email address that you're going to be sending messages to the people that have. Okay, so this section here is where you're going to put your email address. So this section here is where you're going to be putting the email address that you're going to be using to send it to the people that have registered for the webinar, maybe in advance, maybe to remind them about the webinar, something like that. And then on this second option is where you're going to choose which list they are going to be in. So when I say by list, I mean, for example, everybody who registered for this webinar, I need them to be on a particular list, and maybe you can give it a name. Go to the GetResponse account, create a list for these email addresses, and that's exactly where they are going to go. You can add an autoresponder if you already have an email that you've written, or a series of emails that you've written to be sent to the people that are going to be registering to this webinar. Maybe send them more features, emails about features that GetResponse offers, maybe solution, or maybe tips and tricks, something to deal with email marketing before the GetResponse. Something to do with email marketing before the initial webinar starts. So, but for this, I've not created any list. I need to make this webinar as simple as possible. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm not going to be checking this button so that it doesn't send any emails to any of the people that have registered for this webinar. So if I check this button here, that means I'm going to be getting the names and email addresses of the people that are registered to attend the webinar. And this is good because it's going to help me create my email list, and I'll be having a list to send emails to, or to send information about GetResponse and maybe email marketing solutions. So that's why I checked this button. Then from there, you can choose if you want to send a reminder, and yes, you can choose to send a reminder before the webinar, and I normally prefer to select all. That means they get a reminder one day before the webinar, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 5 minutes and also at start time to remind them that we are starting. So once that is done, I choose a template that they'll get in their email, and I'll choose the green one because I like the green color. You can choose any color depending on your choice. So from there, I'm not going to be putting any password, so that means the people that will be registering for the webinar don't need a password. It's just going to be direct, so I'll uncheck that button. So from there, I go through and see if the details that I put are okay, and then once I'm satisfied that they are fine, then I save this step. As you can see, it was very easy to create this webinar. You too can also create your own webinar. So now that everything is done, I'm content with what I've done. So I'm going to click on this button that says create, and then as you can see, we are done and our webinar is created. So if you want to create your own webinar, you can sign up for a free 30-day GetResponse account and practice creating webinars, landing page, and so much more. So I will leave a link in the description, and thank you so much for watching.